Do you ever worry about getting caught?
Yes. Yes, I would. I do worry about it.
In New South Wales, defacing public property with a spray can is a crime. For Waterloo housing estate resident Roberta Finnegan, it has become a protest against the destruction of her community.
When I first came, people said, "Oh, Waterloo's a terrible place," but that's not been my experience at all. We had the announcement for the demolition of Waterloo Estate, and the announcement seemed to me to be in keeping with, I feel, a general inclination in society to destroy what is old because it's no longer profitable. So the government will say, talk about redevelopment, so, and not we're not destroying the community life, but of course they are. They may replace it with a different kind of community life, the upwardly mobile kind. Whereas this community from its origins is a working class community, and it has quite a definite community ethos of helping other people.
When people typically think of street art, they're generally thinking of young men in their teens with
Yes.
spray cans.
Yes. But it's not really that, is it?
Yeah, so do you mind me asking how old you are?
Yes, I'm 79.
79, wow, congratulations.
Yes, it's funny, isn't it? I started to go to an art class at the Uniting Church in Raglan Street on a Saturday afternoon. One of the ideas of the art class is that you have different teachers who bring different skills. So we had a street artist take us for some of the classes, and with him we did stencil making. And I quite enjoyed the idea, so I made a stencil the first time and I thought, what do you do with this? Because the ultimate end really is that it should be put out in a public place. So I went out one evening and sprayed my stencil onto a hoarding. Said, and there's something about a spray can, isn't it? I mean, you take it in your hand and you press your thumb on it and it shh, like this. And it seems to me an expression because it's a release.
Ah.
Yes, it's a release of your emotions, say mine, out there. My anger or my regret for cut down trees. I did one of the willy wagtail who lost their homes when the trees were cut down. The sweetest little birds. And that was just regret. I just had this real deep sadness about these tiny birds who were so cheeky, and driving them off to somewhere else where in the end they'll be driven off again. It's like refugees. They're like refugees. At the corner of Turner Street and Pitt Street, there is a very old jacaranda tree. It was on the National Registry of Trees, and it was simply cut down. And I think it was cut down early in the morning before people were very conscious it was happening. And it was a magnificent tree, and so that's where I started, because I found that very upsetting that a tree of that age could be destroyed. And jacaranda trees are very beautiful. So I did a stencil of a tree. It said, "A lovely tree forever gone." But it's nice, it's attractive, so it was left there because it looks pretty, I suppose. But it did express how I felt about the chopping down of trees. I've heard people commenting on the save the Twin Towers, and on the one of the two crows with blood dripping from their beaks. I've heard people sort of, they pass by, they look at it sideways, and they'll say to whoever they're walking with, oh yes, you know, this estate's going to be demolished, and they go off talking about it, and I think, oh well, that's exactly what I'd like to happen. You can't control people's views, but maybe you can make them think about it. I mean, they might think it's good. They talk about redevelopment and replacement, but what is here you can't replace. Once it's gone forever. It's like the jacaranda tree. You can't ever bring that back. I mean, I've heard people say here, oh, we can't do anything, it's going to happen. And then I've thought, well, you can do something. You can express a protest against it happening, and it may not be effective, it may not have the outcome that you wish, but you have expressed it. You have expressed a protest. You haven't been passive about events or injustice. You put yourself out there and said, I don't accept this injustice, and you can't expect an immediate outcome. But on the other hand, you can moderate what's going to happen or the way it's happening. If there is sufficient feeling that whatever action is going to be taken is going to hurt people. Because I'm not really being destructive, and I'm not really going to go on to, it's called a gateway crime. I'm not really going on to destroy property. That's why I think the path is probably a good way to deal with it.
It's the people's path, I guess.
Yes, people walk on it, it's their path. And they can choose their path.